What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the college football talk with the coaches. My name is Coach Jay with Coach Shawn. He is back again. Missed Monday, but he is back here again. And man, I am extremely excited because guys, we got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about, of course, our initial college football reactions. We have to. Oh my God, we got to talk about Bama, Georgia. Of course, we got to talk about that with Coach Shawn. And then, of course, we got to talk about some other college football games, championship weekend, maybe some playoff scenarios as far as how can we get into the game, stuff like that going. So all of that will be said. But before we get that started, Coach Shawn, man, how you doing?
Man, doing great, man. Doing great. How you guys doing? Apologize for missing you guys on Monday, but duty calls with that little girl, man. And proud dad had to step in and do that first. But I appreciate you guys and just happy to be back with all the people and ready to chop it up about what's going on, man.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. So, of course, man, of course, we got to give a shout out to some of our fans, man. Shout out to William. Shout out to Nate Boone. Shout out to Easy E, Kyle Banks, Adam. I'm sorry, Adrian, Ephraim Davis. We appreciate all you guys for stopping by, man.
What's
And
up,
of course,
Ephraim?
Georgia fans, we know you guys are going to be coming. We told you guys to stop by last time. You guys came with numbers, man.
Yeah.
So let's chop it up again. Let's chop it up. Let's get some of these interactions going because it's going to be a long weekend. But speaking of that, I guess we'll start off with kind of our initial reactions because we didn't have you on Monday. So would you kind of give you your final reactions of the Bama Auburn game? What we got on last time, that crazy game that happened on Saturday.
Final reactions to that game is, man, I figured Auburn was going to come out and play with their hair on fire. The game didn't go like how I expected it to go, but I knew
Mhm.
Auburn was going to fight us. I'm just ecstatic and happy and lucky that we came out destined with that win and move on to a championship game and really put the stamp on this season.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So Bama, Georgia. Got to talk about it. I gave my predictions. I got a lot of hype. I got a lot of stuff for it. For those who don't know, I'm one of the rare Bama fans that actually, again, I got to stick with my prediction for the early part. I said 11-2 was going to be our season. I said that was going to be a successful season, and we can build off of that going to next year. I'm sticking with that. I said we were going to lose to Georgia 28-24. That was going to be a very close, uptight game, but not everybody agrees with me, right? Rightfully so, right? It's a heavy. I mean, this is a Bama channel, so obviously there's going to be a lot of people that believe in it, and trust me, I would not be surprised if Bama not just wins that game but dominate that game because of the amount of the high stakes. And I think it's going to be a very, very good, it's going to be a competitive game. But Coach Shawn, kind of give me your take about Bama, Georgia, some of the keys that Bama can beat Georgia, and just maybe even highlight maybe some concerns that you maybe have going into that game.
Man, I think if we play our game and Jalen Milroe is allowed to be unhinged and take the cuffs off Jalen Milroe, no first half Auburn trying to be Peyton Manning type things going on.
Mhm.
I think with this team, if Jalen looks, I dare say one read, maybe two at the most, and it's not there, go, brother, go. Because one thing about
Mhm.
Georgia, they play a very heavy dose of man coverage, a very aggressive style of man coverage. They love to pattern match on the back end. They love the pattern. Kirby is one of the best at that, right? So mesh routes and things of that nature will get them if you stick to them. You got to penny pinch and you got to be patient against Georgia, man. You got to be patient. If we have to punt 2 or 3 times and on this team, that might be what we have to do. The one thing you can't do is allow Georgia to extend drives. You got to get them off the field the same on third down. If they're going to play hardcore defense, you got to do the same. I tell people all the time, and this may sound a little weird, but Alabama is not built to beat teams like Auburn. When I say teams, no, let me rephrase that. Alabama's not built to beat schemes like Georgia. The scheme we run, that up tempo quarterback run, those things give us problems based off how we play defense, how we play
Mhm.
defense in the gaps, how we play defense on the back end. Those teams will always give us trouble with the scheme we run. Alabama is built to beat teams like Georgia, believe it or not. LSU of old. Alabama want to play it in the phone booth. They're physical up front. Their linebackers are extremely physical against the run. Play man coverage for a few seconds to give these guys some support. Our front seven is going to win this game or lose this game for us, I believe. On the offensive end, Jalen Milroe has to use his legs because Georgia will get caught with their backs to the QB. But on the defensive side, our front seven will make or break this team. because if the front seven isn't playing well, it's going to open up things for Brock Bowers. It's going to open up things for their quarterback. So we got to be very aggressive. We got to let Brock Bowers get his little bit, but we have to play with a safety over the top, I believe. We just got to play sound football, hardcore on defense, and extending drives on third down on offense.
One of the biggest, I guess, questions I think going into this game is pretty much going to be our linebacking core, because the main strength of Georgia's team, I think, for the passing standpoint, is in their slot. I think when they run 12 or even sometimes when they have 11 base with Leighton McConkey just sometimes in that slot, and he just slips right behind the linebackers. Sometimes with the tight ends, of course, with Delp and Bowers, they slip behind the tight ends. We talked about this on Monday with Smook, but there was even some conversation of, hey, do we go cover 3 with pretty much Caleb Downs bracketing Bowers, or is it a possibility that maybe we start to go into more of our dime look? Maybe potentially Arnold slips into the slot, Amos potentially plays outside, maybe going against Ra Thomas. Kind of like, what's your insight about how we can play Georgia defensively, or how we can play against their offense? Because this, like I said, we are built for it, but we've had concerns of linebacking core because Trez Marshall is going to play, right? Whether if we like it or not, he's most likely going to be playing. We know that in coverage units, he's a bit of a weak point for this team.
Man, believe it or not, for me, just in my humble opinion, I do believe the way you defeat Georgia, because everything is predicated with Georgia off the run game. If they get that run game going, Coach Smook, what up, my bro?
What's up, Phil?
To me, if Georgia get that run game going, I watched them against Auburn the first time, and Auburn was very, very basic on defense. But what Auburn did was they stopped their run. Auburn just couldn't score. Auburn really, really, really did a heavy dose towards stopping the run and really played them honest on the back end and was successful with that for about 3 quarters. So to me, if you don't stop Georgia's run game, if you let them get 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 9 yards, 12 yards, that's when their offense started to roll. That's when Brock Bowers on third and short can kill you, on first down can kill you. To me, you got to devote that attention to stopping the run game and take your chances with Brock Bowers. As far as defending that guy, I think you have to play with a safety over the top of that guy, even on plays where he don't get the ball. I think you have to commit personnel to him. Take him completely out of the game. If you're going to beat us with the run straight up, then beat us with the run straight up. But I would not allow Brock Bowers to beat us. The run game and devoting personnel and resources to stopping that tight end, I think that gives us the best chance to win on defense.
Yeah, it is. I will say this. I talked about this on Monday. Their usage of 12 personnel is different from what it was last year.
Facts.
Because Darnell Washington, because they were much, it was much run heavy because of Darnell Washington, right? He was that 6th offensive lineman, and he added so much utilization to their offensive line, and he gave them so much of a push. But now it's more pass heavy now because Oscar Delp, he's a different tight end from Darnell Washington. He is more like a Brock Bowers type, where again, you can line him up out wide, you can line him up in the slot, and he can do so much damage for you. Coach, but we just talked about this before, how the linebackers, it could be a little worrisome that these tight ends could slip, or even Leighton McConkey can slip up in there. Kind of, what are your thoughts about that, with maybe playing more of a dime look, maybe even having, again, maybe that bracket coverage with Caleb Downs coming out, or maybe you put Terry Arnold in that star position? Like, what are you kind of thinking about how we can definitely defend against Georgia for the SEC championship game?
Like I told you, I think our best option is to go even front dime look.
Yeah.
That's your two interior linemen. You let them control, gap contain, press the pocket from the interior. And you depend on Dallas and Braswell and Robinson to contain the edges, seal their edges, make their moves off the edges. When you dial up your blitzes, you just live with your speed and your cover guys, your skill guys to cover on the back end, and hope that plays out. Because I'm more of a guy that's you live with what you take away with what they do best, and what they do best is build off of the run game. I think I walked in on you all saying that they build off the run game, and they don't even like to get outside the box. They don't even like to get outside the tackles with their run game. They like to impose on the interior. Yep. And unlike most teams, Georgia's success in the run game is not 4 and 5 yards a pop. They feel like if they can get 3 yards a carry, that's exactly they're putting themselves in the position that they want to be in to stay on schedule. So the moment we could disrupt that on a consistent basis, that's when we'll see the success. And I think we do have personnel matchups on the back end, secondary, and with Jihad Campbell being mixed up in coverage. where we can eliminate, not necessarily eliminate, but make the look and the timing to get the ball to Bowers and McConkey a issue. I don't think you're going to stop Bowers if he's close to 100%, but you definitely want to give yourself a chance by disrupting the timing. And the only way you do that, if he's not 100%, I don't see why you don't. If you have to, if you walk Caleb Downs down, and and this lineup is the lineup I believe is we're going to see. I think we do see Amos and Kool-Aid on the perimeter. I think Arnold starts at the start. He's your best cover guy. He's probably your more physical, more sound discipline guy when it comes to coverage and hand checking and all of that. So you want him kind of matching against a McConkey or Bowers, and you have Caleb Downs kind of shadowing him and matching the other slot on the other side. And you keep guys like Malachi Moore, keep them from having over-the-top responsibility. You keep a guy like Story over top. You keep a guy like Key over top. Don't give them any type of run support responsibility. Keep them over top and keep your physical DBs that know how to make those quick reads and decipher those quick pass game, quick run reads, all of those. Keep them near the box because the dime look, meaning less linebackers on the field, more speed on the field with DBs, is going to probably be your most successful look as far as being in that plus field territory, the open field territory.
This is probably one of my kind of concerns. I had to go back and watch the Auburn game a little bit, but it was that light-based package a little bit when we had our second to even third lineman down there, and of course Tim Keenan and Jaheim Otis. Otis was out of there a little bit. But yeah, I would notice the immediate drop off. Now, of course, like those are huge, impactful players. But then I watched George. I mean, this is what George has been doing, peak Kirby Smart, or for the most part, vintage Kirby Smart, where they can just simply rotate guys and not even miss a beat. This is not the deepest Georgia lineup, but they still got two or three groups that can at least play effectively. They're not going to get moved around that much often. They play extremely disciplined when it comes to gap containment and gap discipline. Is that a little bit of a concern that if Otis and Keenan gets out of that game, that drop off immediately starts to affect the tide of the game? Because Georgia, they're not a big chunk type of team like how they were 2 years ago. They're more 2-3 yards per carry, setting up the play action, and then of course using Carson Beck outside that pocket. Do you guys find that a little concerning at times based on what you saw against Auburn?
I can tell you this. I guarantee you this, and he from his time at Alabama, Kirby is very aware of personnel. Very, very, very apt at what personnel do what. I don't know, Jay. That's really a good question. That's one of the best questions, man. But I can honestly tell you that guy is very aware of our personnel packages, our sub packages. So the one thing about Georgia that I do feel comfortable with, Georgia's not going to try to trick you.
That's what I was about to get to.
Yeah, man. They're not going to try to run a bunch of window dressing. I'm going to tell you something, man. Georgia has two of the best as a pair, not individually, of interior guards that I've seen, man. Them big boys, they're very similar to number 77 for us.
Yeah.
Very powerful in the run game, man. Very sound, very well coached. Cats will try to move you now, man. And you give them some little light, they feed off that. They get stronger as the game go on, man. And so that's an extremely good question. I don't really know, Coach Jake, but the only thing I can say is Kirby is very aware of personnel. You better believe he's going to be aware of our sub packages. When we sub and put in such and such, he's going to be aware of that. I can guarantee you, Bobo, they're aware of that.
And that's exactly what I was going to allude to. That's what Alabama misses with having Kirby Smart on their staff or Jeremy Pruitt. Those were the kings of matchup personnel-wise, creating matchups defensively. You don't see a lot of defensive coordinators that use their defensive personnel to create matchups for the defense or to make you respect matchups. Like you usually can't gamble like that when you don't have an offense, but Georgia has an offense that allows them to do those type of first drive, gambles as far as setting up matchups. Will Kirby Smart be able to expose the matchup is the question.
Yeah.
The way that Auburn schemed up the run game with the pulling guards and all that stuff, we won't see a lot of that pre-snap dress, snap dressing. We're going to see that Mike Bobo is going to send the pre-snap jet motion. You won't see very many orbits. You won't see a lot of shifts. One thing about Tommy Rees, the shifts and the pre-snap motions have been continually increasing as far as how they look, still producing the same play call, but just giving a different pre-snap look. And I think that is what's going to separate the difference between how our offense moves and how Georgia's offense moves. When you look at how they scheme up, like you said, Coach Jay, the 12 personnel is not their strong run personnel. You know, when they go 12, they will go 12 and have Brock Bowers as the slot receiver instead of lined up as the tight end or H-back, you know, and you have to be prepared for that. But what do you do when they have Ladd, Ra, Brock, and Austin out there for 12? You know, what's your personnel for that? Do you get a chance to sub in and get your personnel to match up with that? So how diverse is our base personnel package, which is usually what happens when we play teams like Georgia. We try to go with our strongest personnel package to set the tone. And you're going to get a good idea of what Kevin Steele wants to do off of that the first 4 to 6 plays with this defense. And that's personnel wise too. Will Otis be able to be out there for first and third down? You know, like we tend to want him out there. Will Keenan be out there first and second down like we tend to want him out there in those, you know, trying to force them into passing situations? Honestly, I think you keep them guys out in the passing situation too, because you can't have both of them out. You can't have both Otis and Keenan out and expect to do anything up front.
Yeah. Man, that's a hot take right there, man. That's facts.
And that's not to say Payne and Latham or and those guys behind them, they just haven't had the opportunity. They haven't been put in those situations throughout the season on a consistent basis. So unlike Georgia, you know, the rotation has been deep, but they've been strict situational personnel, and that's why we've been getting them their credit. But now this is not the week to try to go situational.
Yeah, man.
Put your best on the field and let it happen, let it play out, because that's what Georgia's going to do every play offensively. They're not going to, like you said, they're not going to get cute. They're going to try to run at us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Coach Jay. Real quick.
Yeah,
I agree with that 1,000%, man. I'm sure those guys can do it, but I'd love to keep one of those guys out there, man. Good night.
Even with Lawson and Campbell, to Coach Jay's point all week, man, you can't have Marshall at no point. You can't have him as a primary support runs responsibility. You can never have that, because we saw how ineffective it was on a consistent basis for probably the last 4 weeks now. So I'm curious to see personnel starting lineup. I don't care what they come out in. What personnel package are we looking to throw out there on the field? And I think honestly, our base dime, not base nickel. When we need to bring that extra DB, get a linebacker, get one of those defensive linemen off the field. You could take a Boygby off the field, let him come in and be your other even front or your odd front guy. I mean, even front. Let him be your spell for an even front guy. He's big enough. He has the end capabilities. He can press the interior, gap contain. A Boygby Smith. Let them rotate around Otis and Keenan as far as the 2 down linemen. And when we go heavy, then you can bring that big 4-man front end or that big 3-man front end and let's hold it down that way.
Let's flip it on the other side, guys. Offensively, what do you think we kind of have to do to get things rolling? Because Tyrese, for the most part, I thought for the most part he's progressed. We kind of talked about this before, guys. I think he should be a Frank Broyles at least candidate for what he's been able to do with this roster, and what he's been able to do with Jalen Miro. I mean, Jalen Miro, guys, if we take a look at his stats, one of the most impressive stat to me, not a lot of people will talk about this, it's his yard per pass play. He's second in the country in yards per pass. So when people sit up here and say, well, Jalen Miro can't throw the football effectively and efficiently, well, first of all, he's top 5 in the nation in quarterback efficiency. He's top 2 in the nation in yards per play. I mean, for the most part, when you look at the most important quarterback statistics, he's one of the best. And so we got to give Tyrese a lot of that credit. However, I will say this, the games that Jalen Miro, for the most part, had to be a passer, we really needed to show on his head, because Georgia's got the athleticism, they got speed. I wouldn't be surprised at all if CJ Allen, who's a freak, CJ Allen might be their fastest player pound for pound on that entire team, he's probably going to play spy, since he doesn't have that much experience at the linebacking position and dealing with that responsibility. Kind of what's your take about Jalen Miro, Tyrese, and how we can deal with this Georgia defense?
Man, for me, first shout out to JM12 Green. Hey, you're 100% right, JM12 Green, about our defense better wake up. And also James Richardson, shout out to you, bro, from Bama to Georgia. You know what it is. For me, I don't think we're going to be able to consistently run the ball against this team. I've seen less defensive stop us. I won't say stop us, but sort of throw our run game off balance. You know what I mean? And we end up going away from the run a little bit, letting Jalen create. This team has the personnel to stop us running the football. I think we need to, for me, our best play against a defense like this, because these guys can run sideline to sideline. They're very strong in the gaps. Their front seven is extremely sound. It's like I think it was Coach Smook said last week. I think we can attack their back end. You know what I mean? I really think we can attack those guys back there. I think we can win some one-on-one matchups back there. But run Jalen Milroe, to me, this is the game where he need to let it all hang out, man. Let it all hang out. Those guys are going to play really, really tight coverage. Jalen just need to be Jalen to me. I think the same game plan we took into Kentucky, the pre-snap motions, things of that nature. One thing about Kirby, he will overcompensate. He did that at Bama. If you have some success on a couple of plays, Kirby, he likes to adjust, but then, you know, he will.
He wants to be the first to adjust every game.
Yes, every game, man. You can watch their game script. Kirby, he don't want you to get I'm not sure he panics, but he tries to overcompensate if you guys make a successful offensive play. So I think we can have some success of these guys if Jalen Milroe is allowed just to be Jalen. Be Jalen. Take what they give us. Let's not look for the deep shot every time, because they'll probably try to take that away completely. Spy us. I don't think Kirby's going to spy the whole game. I think he'll spy in spots, maybe down in distances, things of that nature. But I think we can definitely move the ball in these games. That Kentucky game plan was one of the best I've seen ever for what a really aggressive defense likes to do. I think if we attack them that way, I think we can have some great success against these guys.
I'm looking at it from the same glasses, man, because I'm just looking at what Kirby did best for us, and it was against pocket passing quarterbacks. Even at Bama, with all the talent he had at Bama, he struggled with mobile quarterbacks. It's just been a struggle for Nick Saban style coach defenses when you put that much intricacies in the secondary and on the second level of your defense. When you give players, you know, all these different options to make reads off of and make judgment calls within the grand scheme of a defense, where you're talking about teaching players what to look for as far as cues. And smart offensive coordinators are going to give similar looks, but produce multiple options off of that one look. So that's where I think we can get Kirby and this Georgia defense off balance, where we're creating the pre-snap looks, showing them one thing and then hitting them with exactly what they're expecting, but from a different look. So that means if you get in 12 personnel, instead of lining up in a twin look, have your split look with your wide outs, you know, your one and your one on each side. Motion Burton or Bonds to bring them to the twins look. Get your tight end shifts to the side that you're running to, and then just overload. Get your one pulling guard or your center to pull and slice down like we've been doing. We've been setting it up, and as long as we don't get away from that part of the game, that part of the run game, I think we'll have success. And just to flip it to the other side, and Georgia, they do similar things, but I think Georgia is so much more confident in their, like you said, Coach Shawn, their guard play. That if they see a Damon Payne or Ja Latham or Tim Smith or somebody else other than Tim Keenan or Jaheim Otis out there on the field, they're going to take their shots and try to attack our linebackers. But this game right here, because of how they depend on one-on-ones to be won, I think this game lines up better for our inside linebacker play, because now they're not looking at, you know, pulling guards. They're not looking for pulling guards. They're trying to look for the tight end coming up to fill the hole. They're literally going to be able to jump their holes because the guys up front have to win. That's how they design their run game. And that's just me watching film from their last 3 games. They really depend on their guys to win their one-on-ones up front.
Yeah. You know what scared me about this offense, Coach Jay, before you go? What gives me great concern about this offense is on 3rd and long, even when they're not going to Bowers, their quarterback is hitting the groove right now. What's that quarterback name again? The Georgia quarterback? Carson Beck is playing well, man.
Yeah, very good.
He's I've seen times when teams have very good coverage on these guys, and he put the ball right where it's at. So I think we're gonna have to get some pressure on that guy at some point, man. That gives me concern. That guy, you know, I don't think he's Jaden Daniels by any stretch of the imagination. He's not going, but if we're just talking about straight, flat-footed, 3-step, 5-step drop, put your foot in the ground and let that thing go, he has the potential to hurt us if we don't play the right leverage and right coverage. So you know, I don't think he's going to take off and beat us consistently like that. But This game to me is going to be the biggest chess match of any game we played this season.
Yep.
We knew the strengths and weaknesses of every game going into every. We knew LSU was going to score. We knew their defense was going to struggle. We knew that, right? This game is almost like looking in the mirror at yourself. It's
You
almost
do.
like looking in the,
Yep.
you know what I mean? It's like, wow, man. You know how it's going to be interesting because
And now,
this
course-
Bama team, real fast. This Bama team reminds me of the Georgia team, which Stetson Bennett his first year. It does, you know, with the quarterback. Stetson started out slow. Everybody thought he couldn't play. He got better and better and better, and for what they do. So it's going to be very interesting, man.
a question I want to present to y'all, for the first time, and this is just based off, not necessarily a question, this is an opinion. I want y'all to weigh in on it. For the first time in some years, I feel like finally, not necessarily the best front, but we have the edge in the pass rush game. The ability to get pressure on the quarterback. Georgia gets a lot of pressure with how they design things, but you got a guy in Milroe, when all this fails, you haven't seen legs like this all season. Nobody sees legs and escapability like they've seen with Milroe. Does our ability to get pressure on the quarterback from, multiple spots on the field, does that finally show its head on a consistent basis against a team like Georgia, who's not going to, I don't think Georgia's going to have too many 6 or 7 man protections against us. I think they're going to want to, pride is a big thing with Kobe Smart. But this year, does the pass rush game give us the slight edge that we need to disrupt the quarterback like Carson Beck?
I think it does. I think it does because with Stetson Bennett, you had to play discipline in your lanes. You had to play discipline on the outside because Stetson, he's not the most athletic quarterback in the world, but he's got wheels. That's a dude that can take off for 20, 30 yards on you in a heartbeat because of his mobility in and out of the pocket. He can scramble outside. And he did that in the national championship. He really hurt us a couple times. Carson Beck's a little elusive. He's a little elusive, but he doesn't have that athleticism. He's your standard pocket pass or your modern pocket passer that does have some wheels on him. So this is not Jaden Daniels. This is more of a Quinn Ewers type of player. Yeah. And it's kind of more so that if you kind of give him time in the pocket, if you don't formulate a rush at all to the quarterback, he's going to punish you. Because Mike Bobo he's not Steve Sarkisian, but Mike Bobo's, this offense is based around Todd Monken's scheme. And there's a lot of wrinkles that that can hurt so many other defenses out there. So this is so again, a Lat McConkey, this is where you can have a Brock Bowers and Oscar Delp. Those are going to be your main impactful players that can hurt you if you don't have the right personnel in place to take those guys out or the right scheme in place to take those guys out. So I look at their offensive line. I don't think that this is the best offensive line they've had. I'm not too sure. I don't know if Amarius Mims is playing in this game. I know Xavier Truss could have a big opportunity to start.
Yeah.
Tate Ratledge is hurt. He is not at 100%. So that could be a big advantage for Chris Braswell and for Dallas Turner, both those guys to come off the edge.
I think Q-Rob gets to shine when it comes to that. Yeah. I think their tackles are going to be so focused about Turner and Braswell. Q-Rob has been in a lot of key blitz packages. When we need those stops on second and third and passing, Q-Rob has been in there, and he may not be the one getting there, but go look at who's flushing these quarterbacks out into the arms of Dallas Turner, Justin DuBois, guys that are benefiting from these sacks. Q-Rob is in on a lot of those. Him and Kendrick Blackshire, which I don't understand why we're not seeing more of Kendrick, but you got to have those type of disruptive blitzers out there, man. Run blitzing, pass rush, all that. You got to have those guys in there some type of way instead of wasting reps with a guy like Marshall. You get what I'm saying? So it's going to be curious to see it.
Yeah, I agree.
We got a lot of super chats.
Yeah, we've all said let's get to some of these super chats. Duke to go 2020. He said excellent analysis. Really appreciate the show. Miro must be decisive.
Appreciate it, Duke.
Definitely appreciate you, Duke, for that. We got another super chat for Ray Parham. He said use jet sweeps to have them concerned about the perimeters like Georgia Tech did, and find a way to attack their corners in space.
Yes.
With Vaughn and Burton. Well, kind of quick take on that. What you guys think about that super chat?
Kendrick I think Malik Benson. I was going to say it's going to be one of the other two that's going to be able to benefit from Kendrick that. Because Benson, I don't think people realize what happened last week in this Auburn game. Go look at the I think he had 3 big catches this game.
Yeah.
And like that's his ability to go after the catch. You could tell he's just now getting comfortable. And this is that was the last game of the season. So to have that weapon just now waking up and developing that confidence, I guarantee you that all the preseason work that him and Milroe and that group did, it finally coming together. Kobe Prentice is going to be healthy again this week. This is going to be a different passing attack this week because I think they're going to keep Burton and Bonds. I think we're going to see 2 or 3 more, including Nee Black, including Dupree. I think Oos is going to have 1 or 2 plays where we kind of just catch them off guard and key him. It's going to be, I feel like Tom Reese, this is the game, man. He's been having spots, and then one game I think he's called two complete games this whole season. I think this is the game he wakes up for, and really we let him kind of get in his bag and have fun because all the options are there. All the options are there now. You get to lay it all on the table. This could possibly be the last important game of the season.
Shout out to Gelato, 100% facts on Jalen Key. Go ahead, Coach J with them supers.
Yep. DeMarco Brooks, $20 super chat says, just showing some love for the show and content, fellas. Glad to see Shawn back. Gotta support the fam. Always love for Jay, especially with the Michigan rants. Just follows Smook from
CC.
Shout out to DeMarco, man.
Keep up
Much
the
love.
grind, guys.
Yes,
really
sir,
appreciate
bro.
you, DeMarco. Really appreciate DeMarco. Trust me, more Michigan rants coming. I can trust me. The inquisitive Prince, he said, we've seen Kirby get out schemed several times. And at Bama as our defensive coordinator. Also, Bill O'Brien did it twice. I believe it's up to Jalen to keep us up ahead.
This and I can agree. I usually don't go with transitive property or anything of that nature, going with the past. But when you have somebody that does something on a consistent basis, when they continue to show you who they are,
they're not changing.
They're not going to change.
Yeah.
There's success to Kirby style, and then there's also spots that you can pick. That's what separates us from most teams that they've seen this season.
Ask
Missouri
Williams. Yep.
Ask Missouri how they did it. They didn't just try to go out and go past it because they knew they could create mismatches in the secondary. They trusted the fact that they had an experienced running back who had been playing 4 years of college ball at the D2 level, came over and has the same patience, same energy, same type of run attack. He didn't show any type of fear. And that first drive established some presence for that Missouri offensive run attack. And you saw what they was able to do when they got to passing the ball with Brody Cook. And I believe no quarterback, like I said earlier, no quarterback in this conference presents the same type of threat that Jalen Milroe has developed. His legs has always been there, but now he has an arm talent that has been waking up NFL scouts. More scouts are showing up looking at Jalen Milroe as a potential first rounder. And I told y'all, don't be surprised if this boy ends up in New York after this game and we go to win the national championship. Do not be surprised if this boy leaves and goes to the draft.
I really
remember this too.
Me neither. I don't want him to go.
Remember this too. They play so sound in the back end. You'll have Jameson Williams opportunities.
Yes.
They'll give if you got the Kirby as I'm gonna play this. If you got the personnel to beat me on that play, cool. I'll live with it.
You better take it.
You better take it though. For all facts. Go ahead, Coach.
Yep.
John Reed with the $10 super chat. He asked a question. He said, who has more depth on the bench? Georgia lost a lot last year.
What position?
I mean, that's what I was just about to say, because defensive line wise, they are deeper than us as far as experience.
I would say at second middle linebacker, we might be deeper than them.
I know they got playing the right guys.
Just not playing the right. Yeah. So what position? You know,
our secondary is deeper. I think our wide receiver core is deeper as far as talent wise. What you could put on the field. That's why you don't see big numbers from 2 or 3 receivers. You see a lot of spread out numbers. You have a top end, and then you got guys that spread out in between there. You got a 7-man rotation at wide receiver.
Facts. Yeah. Wide receiver. I know they got running backs, but we got running backs. Come on now.
Hey, listen. What's crazy is though, Shawn, they don't really have no running backs. Honestly, not this year compared to what they was having the past few seasons. You only got Milton and Edwards is doing majority of the load. Milton is your emotional leader. He's your strong runner. He's probably going to get you your power yards, but they are virtually the same as far as but outside of that, you don't have that third back like Georgia has used being able to produce. Now they do have this receiver in Bell. They put in the backfield and move him around. He's kind of like their Kendrick Lar. He presents some problems, but you talking about matchups? We're probably the only team that's able to match up across the board and hopefully just handle assignments.
Yeah. I would say this about Kendall Milton. He reminds me a lot as far as that emotional presence of the team. He's like he's the Elijah Holyfield of that team as far as big, powerful runner, can truck dudes over, not the most explosive type guy, but he does bring a lot of spark to the team. And like I said, I like Kendall Milton is a lot slower than him. Like, don't be surprised you see him in the combine. He runs like a 4.7. He's not the fastest type guy, but yeah, he brings that emotional presence to the team. So I guess kind of getting into the final, I guess in a way our key players, final key players, and of course score prediction, Coach Smook and of course us, we did it. So Coach Shawn, you can take it away and you can definitely try to get that, handle it.
For me, easy peasy, man. It's Jalen Milroe. I want Jalen Milroe. His confidence is exuding right now. I want him to go out and prove a point to the world. And that's my number one player on offense, man. The offensive line as a whole has got to do their job, but Jalen Milroe has got to come out and let his name be in the mud on Saturday. You know what I mean? This will catapult him into the next season if he comes back. Defensively, I think our middle linebackers got to make up for Saturday. I think that they got to come out and be physically up front, stop Georgia's run. You cut one of the heads off that monster. You know what I mean? Just be physical in the run game. Somebody in the middle linebacker core got to step up. I wouldn't be shocked to see Trez play well this game.
But
whole facts.
He knows them better than anybody.
Trez Marshall, they gonna have a point to prove. Jermaine, I want to see the rowdy Jermaine. You know, don't get us a damn flag, Jermaine, but I want to see the rowdy Jermaine. Let's go, man. This is your former team. They gonna want to play. I don't think Kirby is going to respect them like that. I don't think Kirby's going to respect Jermaine to commit resources to stop Jermaine Burton. So Jermaine going to have opportunities. He's going to have Jameson Williams opportunities. He's going to have some JMO opportunities. Let's take them. Let's take them, man.
What's your prediction for the game? Final score.
I hate to give predictions, but I think in my heart of hearts, man, I think we beat Georgia, man. I think we beat them by a field goal late. I think Will Riker comes out, put us ahead by 3, and I think we win by 3. I really feel that.
We got to hope he gets his act together. I hope he gets his act together. I mean, again, he's never missed a kick in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but
hey, you remember that's the stat I wanted to highlight. Yeah, Riker done missed everywhere else in big games. He don't miss in that dome. I mean, he's that type of kicker. He's a showcase kicker. You could put him in any workout, and you're gonna think he's the best thing since what was the guy that kicked for Adam Vinatieri? You gonna any inside showcase type setting, he's gonna show up. What I do want to say, and y'all, they gave us crap. You remember Coach J? They gave us crap about our analysis this earlier.
Yeah.
But I went back and like I said, I haven't been able to watch full Georgia games. But I went back and I watched the Auburn game, the Missouri game. I watched the Kentucky game. I just got done watching the Georgia Tech game. And guys, honestly, what Tommy Rees wanted to do against Texas, our offensive line is built up to be able to do that now. And that presents issues for a team like Georgia and what they like to do. They're going to give us opportunities with their one-on-one back-end coverage. And Milroe and his deep ball accuracy is the best in the nation right now. As far as Power 5, I think the only two that's ahead or was ahead of him was Caleb Williams, and we see what that type of defense he playing. But it was a D1AA guy, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody that's not playing in Power 5, So I'm looking at it now, man, with knee black and possibly having one of those safeties walk down on him in coverage. I give knee black and Dupree the advantage in those situations. I think we can create something building off of the offense if we settle with taking 3 and 4 yards of carry as success and stop trying to make it be about 6 yards of carry or 7 yards of carry. Just continually being physical and allowing the offensive line to start their momentum by leaning. If we can do that and find success early, I think our defense finds out ways to stop not simplified, but offense that's not going to change up their identity for this game. And Kevin Steele and his adjustments, unlike the ones he wasn't able to make this past game, I think this game are going to be key. I changed my score. I went 38-31 or something like that earlier this week. I'm giving Alabama the edge with points because this Georgia defense will give up points, and this Alabama offense will score. If they don't mix it up crazy in front of Jalen Milroe and make his eyes get from looking downfield, this is not going to be a close game. And I don't think they're going to trust. I don't think Kirby's going to trust his packages to try to do that against an athlete like Milroe. So my score prediction is going from 38-31 to more of a 42-31, 42-28 type deal with Alabama pulling away in the third quarter, like impact plays, like we always seem to do against Kirby coach teams, only because Kirby's going to try to overcompensate for trying to stop Milroe's legs. I think Milroe's going to be dialed in as far as understanding how important is leg usage and using his legs in the run game and in the passing game when the pass play breakdown is going to be important. Is going to have a big effect on how this game turns out.
The story of Doc with the $5 super chat. He says, do we think Kirby will be eager to or hesitant to bring the pressure and force quick decisions on Milroe? What is Smart's MMO for a player like him?
Literally what I just said. You can't dial it up so fast because it's not like you're working against a trashed offensive line or an offensive line where in recent games the weaknesses haven't been shown. You can't go in recent games. Every sack that's happened in the last 4 games, which is 4 sacks, I believe, 1 sack average a game. I think one game he had 2 since the break, but they have not been on the offensive line. The only one we gave credit to the offensive line for is Jaden Roberts slipping his last game. He literally had to slip to get beat and get it sacked. That was the only sack of the game. So that's my response to that take right there.
Crimson Howard with the $5 super chat. He says, "Hey guys, y'all hear y'all hear Pollock spewing that BS about Kirby being the better coach. Man, I want this win. Listen, we all want the win. Listen, Kirby's an elite coach. I mean, if he might just be the second best coach in the last 15, 20 years, right next to Nick Saban. Of course, Urban Meyer is in that argument as well, man. But listen, he's a Georgia guy. We got to forget where, David Pollock, he went to Georgia. He's one of the best college defenders ever. So, of course he's going to, he's going to defend Georgia, but he's also, I've seen takes where he's defended Bama pretty much more than any other analyst I've seen. So, it is what it is on that aspect, guys. But now I think switching subjects, we hate doing this, but we got to talk about it.
Before you do, Coach Jay, can I answer James Richardson? He had a question.
Absolutely.
James Richardson from Georgia asked, I think he asked, how are we going to man up on Brock? That's just the thing, James. I don't think we're going to play straight man on Brock a lot. Maybe on some 2nd and 3 type stuff, you know what I mean, to commit some more personnel to the front 7. I don't think we're going to commit a lot of resources to just putting one guy and let him tell him, okay, you defend Brock the whole game. I don't think that's how you defend a player like Brock Bowers, man. You got to really be a collective effort. Very similar to how Auburn, was it the Auburn game when he went off the second half?
And he didn't go into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I think you really have to bracket him and see that thing about it. They started having some success in the run game, and Auburn, it discombobulated. Fell apart. Yeah, man. So I think we'll be able to hold up. I'm gonna say this real quick before we switch gears. George Johnson was saying some things about the Georgia fans. Listen, fans gonna be fans, George. But this is the great thing about this football game. This in particular game, Georgia can say what they want, but when you look in the mirror, the people that really know football know that when you look in the mirror as a Georgia football player, you see an Alabama football player, and vice versa. This is scheme wise. This is talent wise. You can say we have advantages here, they have advantages there. There is one team in the nation that matches up with that team, and they know it's those guys in the crimson jerseys. They know that. This is not me being a homer. This is the straight up truth. Everybody think we're going to lose and think. I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie before. I've seen the movie 2 years ago when we came in. Georgia was doing well. They was the number 1 team. We came into this game and we played our base offense and absolutely whipped them. Whipped them, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? A lot of teams don't have the personnel to exploit Georgia's weaknesses the way Bama does, right? So Kirby Smart in his press conferences, he talked a lot about Jalen Milroe. So he's probably, and if I know Kirby, going to try to commit some resources, like Coach Smook said, to stop his legs, stop Jalen Milroe. Let's not let him beat us over the top. Those things, right? But at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, it's one team that they know match up with them as well as anybody in college football, and that is the University of Alabama. And likewise with us to them.
I'm going to hit this super chat right here, Coach Jay, Coach Shawn. I just want this win for my B-Day Saturday. Milroe got to get the tight ends and running back involved. Trouble Man with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that, brother.
Appreciate it, Trouble Man.
You're absolutely right with the tight end running backs getting involved, because I think the linebackers are going to have to be deciphering who's the only thing I agree with Coach Shawn, not the only thing, but another thing I agree with Coach Shawn with about is I don't think Kirby Smart is that sold on having to commit extra resources he's pride is a thing with this coach. And when you go out and think about it, Coach Smart has been on the recruiting trail in the offseason, and he's going out to all these different schools, sitting in these folks' houses, taking them to restaurants, sitting in their living rooms, talking to these kids, and he's seeing this talent You don't think he's trying to go out there and get the best guy to go and shut down the other best guy on Alabama's team? You know, they're literally going and fighting Coach Saban walking out of a house and Coach Smart walking in behind him, or Coach Smart walking in. And you know what I'm saying? That's the type of talent that's going to be on the field this Saturday. And you don't think he's going to sit there and trust his coaching and his ability to develop and say, I've trained this guy, I put this guy in enough positions this season up until this point to where he can go out there and handle this job. He's not going to change everything. He's not going to, there may be one between this game, there will be 4 wrinkles displayed between both teams. I guarantee it. And there'll be in spots where they create opportunities or some uncharacteristic happens or self-imposed happens on the other side of the ball. And that's when they're going to try to insert that wrinkle to take advantage, because momentum is going to be a big factor in this game, but also execution in the key moments. Every play matters, but there is football. Football is a game of runs. The more key moments you can capitalize on, that's the team that usually has the most success. And one thing I want to highlight is in key moments, Alabama's turnover difference, we've been +6 in key moments, meaning games where we were, within 7 points, we are +6 as an average over season. Georgia, -4. And they still have been able to win. So don't always look at the numbers and say they don't handle key moments good. It's just about the time that they are able to take the lead back. That's the only difference. But we do present opportunities in different aspects where we can challenge them. And that number can come into play when we holding a 10-point lead late in the third quarter, or being down by 4 late in the third quarter as an Alabama offense, when in these moments, statistically, we've been favored and we've been able to do positive things and produce wins. Because we haven't, think about this, Alabama nation, college football nation, Alabama's only loss is to one-loss another one-loss team out of conference that's playing for their conference championship. That's the only team. Nobody in the SEC has been able to come in and take the game away from us. This is the first team that presents the opportunity for us to see that type of talent and that type of thing since possibly Texas. So I'm excited to see the matchup, ready to see the schematics break down and everything. It's really going to be a game where we're going to see one-on-ones, who can win the most one-on-ones out there in play. Not necessarily one-on-one throughout the game, but in play, because it's going to be so many different looks being thrown as far as matchups and things of that nature. I can't wait to see it, man. I'm excited.
Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. Is going to be a hell of a game. Saturday.
Yeah, man.
I cannot wait for this game, guys. But kind of switching gears real quick, and before that, we got 192 people in the live chat, guys. We appreciate you guys so much for stopping by. Make sure to hit the like button, share the video, share the live stream, or share the channel, and definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, especially if you want more Alabama content, college football content, shows like this. Man, crazy. That's definitely our highest gate. So we appreciate you guys so much. But switching gears a little bit, got to talk about some of these reactions and just the absolute hypocrisy of the playoff committee, especially I forgot what his name is, but what the playoff committee chair, what he said was just one of the most egregious things. It just once again shows why we need the computer ranks right back again to determine playoff factors. So of course, for those who don't know, Alabama was 8th. We did not move a slot, but another team also didn't move up was Texas. They stay at 7. Ohio State's at 6. I'm actually surprised that they didn't, I thought they would have stayed at 5, but nope. Ohio State's at 6. Oregon moved up to 5. And then of course Florida State, Washington, Michigan, and Georgia stayed there. Just no sort of surprise. But Oregon, I'm not surprised that they moved up to 6. But it's the playoff committee's chair, and it's been something that we've all been saying along. It's because of eye tests. That was his direct reasoning was, well, because Oregon's just been dominant, and we like the way that they did. The event, the Washington game, they avenged that loss. Like they're gonna have an opportunity to avenge the loss. They lost it, but they've looked dominant ever since. And then I forgot who asked him. I think it might have been Reese Davis who might have asked him this, but they brought strength of schedule. They brought all the factors when it comes to determining some of these rankings. And he said, well, no, we consider everything into consideration. But you literally just said Oregon's reasoning for being at number 6 was because of the eye test. You didn't bring up their strength of schedule. You didn't bring up everything else. And shout out Easy E205 with the $2 super chat. We really appreciate you guys so much. But yeah, I mean, reasoning, nothing. It was simply eye test. So what do you guys think about some of these playoff rankings? And is there a little bit of concern going into this that if everybody wins out, if everyone wins out, that Oregon could potentially slide all the way to number 4, and that Bama or Texas could potentially be screwed?
It is the biggest screw up in college football playoff history. that if that happens, that Texas and Bama will be at home. That, bro,
That don't even sound right.
it don't even sound right, bro. And I don't I don't get emotional about things, man, but that stuff pissed me off, bro.
Yeah.
I had to just not even think about it because it make me angry to the point to where you ruining college football. Like now you making it to the point to where, you know, you got all these ADs, and how convenient is it that it's the same committee with less SEC people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, come on, man, y'all swinging from Oregon, like these guys, great. Bo Nix been in the college football 7 years. He great, right?
32
But
years
guys,
old.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? This guy played against Justin Herbert, man.
Right.
So it's like, okay, you talk about records and all of that, brother. When you look at their record, Utah was ranked, USC was ranked, Colorado was ranked. None of those teams are doing nothing right now. Nothing, right? The
Right.
one true team you played, you lost to. I don't care how it happened, you lost. And I want to give a big shout out to Greg McElroy because usually he stay out of the Bama homer. He try to go hard so people can't say he's a homer. Greg got hot on that show, man. I like seeing that. Greg, let them know, bro, because they doing us wrong right now, man. And I'll speak up for Texas on this too. To me, the best 4 teams in the country is Georgia, Bama, Texas, and enter Washington /
maybe Michigan.
Maybe Michigan, right? But you better damn well believe Georgia, Texas, and Bama are 3 of the best, and they don't want that to happen. And I'll say this real quick. I said this on my Twitter page. I really believe that these guys are trying to be purposefully well, let's screw everybody this year, so we'll all be clamoring for the 12-team
12,
playoff.
yep.
Right? Because this is like it's because, like Coach Jay said, it's almost redundant, contradict. You know what I'm saying? That's all they do is contradict themselves, man. And so I said it from the beginning because I saw we was getting good wins and they wouldn't let us we weren't gaining no ground on Texas. Like, we're not even moving. Y'all guys are not giving us no opportunities to move up. And you still got us at number 8, man. Nah, so it's crazy, man. I don't even know what to say about it.
Not only at number 8, but to talk about the criteria. You came on national television and gave us this criteria of how you're going to judge it. And every answer for the teams that you have in front of Alabama, every one loss team you have in front of Alabama, you choose to allude from this criteria to explain why they're ahead of Alabama. You say it's about strength of schedule and championships won. Well, Alabama has won their West Division, and we have a stronger strength of schedule than Oregon. So does Texas. Why doesn't our strength of schedule matter when it comes to Oregon? Oregon only has 1 ranked win, and it's against outside the top 10 Oregon State, who has a worse win-loss record than any team that Alabama or Texas has lost to. So how does strength of schedule not matter if you just want to break it down between the ones? But then you go to head-to-head comparison. Oregon lost to a Washington team that was, I think at the time, both of them were outside the top 10, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like number 12 and number 15, or it was 8 or number 14 or something. Something that was crazy when they matched up. My thing is, if you're going to give them that type of weight at the beginning of the season, there should be some type of weight or some type of standard to be carried with that weight. Meaning, if you're going in and you're winning by teams that have not won a top 50 game all year and you're struggling to beat them, your strength of schedule, your resume should take a hit. You got Auburn, who put Georgia to the test all the way to the 4th quarter. We come in and we go in their stadium and we win. You got Missouri, who came in and put your number 1 team, Georgia, to the test. They go in there and Georgia has to win by a last 4th quarter drive to extend the lead and seal the deal. And then they have to stop Missouri, who was moving the ball on that last drive, to bring it within 2 points. You had to stop them then. So put some respect on what's being done on the field. That's the only thing I'm asking as a fan. I don't see them watch. I can't say that I agree that they watching any other games. They can't be watching any other games when it comes to these top 6, top 7 teams, because if they were, they would clearly see Alabama might be your number 2 or number 3 team in the nation right now.
Shout out Easy E205 with the $1 super chat. You know what's funny about that playoff committee? All of them are athletic directors. None of them are full-time college analysts. None of them are full-time college guys. Like a lot of there's a few players that are from that committee, but for the most part, a lot of them are either athletic directors. Maybe some of them are former players, but none of them are full-time college football experts. None of them are full-time analysts. And if you're asking these guys to be in that role of being an expert, then they better be in the film room. They better be watching countless hours of film, countless hours of games, and they don't do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they go to Highlight Haven or Matthew Loves Ball and watch these condensed games instead of just taking a look at and watching the entire framework. Again, Oregon, have they been dominant as a one-win team? Absolutely. But who have they played? Like all these wins are out. Like Utah has 4 losses. Like Utah, and even if they're a top 25 team, which are they? Can we sit up here and say that they're better than Kentucky? Kentucky upset Louisville, who you can make an argument that Louisville was one of the top 3 best wins of the year. Kentucky beating Louisville. Do we sit up here and say that Utah's a better match for Kentucky? I don't know if we can say that. I don't know if we can object. I mean, I know people are pissed off that Tennessee's ranked. Can we objectively say that Utah would beat Florida? I don't think we can objectively say that, because if that's the case, then Arizona, who lost to Mississippi State, we shouldn't even really include Arizona in the conversation. I do think they were a top 15 school, but all those wins they moved up against Pac-12 quote unquote powerhouses, but they still lost to Mississippi State, who's arguably the second worst team in the SEC.
Second worst team. Yep.
It's, I don't know. It's like to me, it's just nothing but just redundancy and hypocrisy. If you feel like Oregon, and this is what it is. It's not even the most deserving. It's not even about the best teams. It's teams who they feel deserve, who they feel belongs in there. I don't, because it's not
who they can fit up there.
Who they can fit up there. Right?
Yeah.
What's the narrative? Because there's a reason why out of the for almost 10 years, it's been 9 years since this thing's been created. We've only really had 2 years where no, I can't even really say that. We've had 1 year, actually. No, 2 years. 2 years out of the 9 where the semifinals games have been competitive. And that was in, I wouldn't say 2017, 2019. No, I can't even say that because LSU blew out Oklahoma. No, 1 year.
Bad.
We had 1 year where all the semifinals
Alabama,
games,
Georgia
last year. Yep. Last year was the first year where the semifinal games were competitive. TCU versus Michigan, and then Ohio State, Georgia. That was it. Every other year, there's always been blowouts. There's always been huge mismatches. Again, did Michigan State deserve to get into the college football playoff in 2015? No, we didn't think that they were a top 4 team, but they were a champion. Exactly, the most deserving team. Did we think that Cincinnati belonged in the college football playoff? Absolutely not. We didn't. No one thought that they were in there. But
they're undefeated.
Exactly, they're the most deserving. Oklahoma in 2015. Ohio State, they didn't even win their division or their conference, and they still got in over Penn State, who beat them for all these quote unquote criteria.
To the defense, though, Coach Jay, this is the first year we've seen this type of record. This amount of teams with 1 loss or undefeated going into this week, conference championship week. But still, when a season like this, when you have so many undefeated teams, why do you not turn on the film? That is my only gripe. There is no way they're turning on. Even, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Coach Jay. Like, somebody in the chat said it should be the selection committee should be all former coaches. Not necessarily that. Get people who are tied to the game, who actually cover the game. You got Josh Pate. You got guys like Pat McAfee. You got guys who cover this stuff and bring you the day-to-day analytics that you all give so much credit to. As far as the media gives so much feed into what these guys are putting out. What's the next buzz coming from those networks and those platforms? But why aren't they having a say so as far as putting the best teams out there? Because honestly, I think you can get subjective with guys like Kirk Herbstreit, guys like even if you want to put
Joey Galloway,
announcers, commentators in that room, because they're the ones watching the games and they are your former players. They have some type of connection to college football as a whole. Why do they not get it?
They do mock committees, by the way, people. They do mock committees.
Exactly. And a lot of times these guys are accurate as far as preseason stuff be far-fetched because you got a lot of biased stuff being said. You got a lot of hopeful stuff. But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, we see it every weekend on College Game Day and SEC Network. You see these analysts, these people that are on these shows, their analysis changes throughout the season because they're actually interacting with these games and they're evaluating these teams. Everybody that was against Alabama week 2 after they lost and USF game, the moment they started trending up against Ole Miss, you saw everybody starting to jump on the wagon week by week. Alabama's starting to become that team. Don't let Alabama wake up. Once Jalen Milroe figures it out, once this defense, because this defense is, they fed into, they were pushing that narrative, and now that it's actually showing up, you would expect the rankings to reflect the same when everybody's talking about it. But you got, what is it, 8, 10 people in the room on this committee that aren't watching the games on Saturdays. They're sitting in their office or on their golf trip at their country clubs, you know, having whatever meetings about budgets and this, and then they come and vote on college football rankings. Get out of here with that. I'm not feeling it no more, man. And a 12-team playoff or whatever, however many team playoff is not going to fix it, because then you're going to be fighting for teams like Oregon State, who's literally been dropping every big game opportunity that they have. You'll have them playing first round against a team like Alabama, who needs healthy players or whatever, you know, and we go out there and have to play an unnecessary game against a team who on film doesn't even match up, but because they're the second or third in a weak conference, they get to jump in the playoffs. I'm over it, man. I'm over it.
For me, man, it's like Homegrown Cowboy was saying the same thing about the 18 playoff. With Homegrown Cowboy, you're right, brother, but what'll happen with the 18? Then Missouri gonna be mad because they're 9. Yep. And they like, well, wait a minute now. We just as good as anybody. So
we lost to number 1 Georgia. Facts. Yeah, you lost.
It's like, how do you fix it? For me, guys, you know, and one person was talking about us in the USF, they didn't penalize Michigan for almost losing to Maryland. So, I mean, they didn't penalize them. And if I'm gonna tell you who should be just, I don't know what to do with these sometimes. Exactly. I'm gonna tell you who should be just as pissed off as Alabama, Texas, because Oregon played who was it? Oregon State, Texas Tech. They had a common opponent. It was Texas Tech, I believe it was. Oregon beat them by 1 score. Texas beat them by almost 50. I think it was 50. They beat the brakes off of them a few weeks later. So you got them above Texas. And it's like this, guys. What I see is this. And this is why I say college football is being ruined. It's being turned into a pro football type scenario. So you're going to have all this bias stuff going on. If you look at all the Fox analysts, they're all clamoring for Ohio State and USC. I know USC is not in it, but they're all clamoring for their own, right? They're shunning Bama. They're shunning Texas. If you look at the ESPN analysts, they're all clamoring Bama should be in, Texas should be in. So this is the downside of these, everybody joining everybody's conferences. Now it's not necessarily regional bias. Now it's complete coastal bias.
Yep.
It's not little regions anymore, SEC, Big 12. Now it's Big 10 is from here on over that United States. Now they're all sticking together with the Fox crew from the southern line all the way down to the Mason-Dixon line, all with the Southwest and the mid. And they're sticking to ESPN, and it's just being separated, man. If you look at it, everybody's arguing, and nobody's making sense. I agree with that take. People like Josh Pate, great table talk, great internet side podcast manner, but at the same time, the guy watched film. He clearly watches film. So,
and you got a lot of those like Greg McElroy, who's been forced to push this narrative all season. You can tell, even in his takes, you can tell when McElroy is like conflicting with himself. Yep. And Coach Jay, I think you highlighted it, man. When he finally just woke up and like this past rankings, you saw it on the face of every panelist there. When it came to the argument for Alabama, there was no denying the facts that were being stated. You don't sit there and sell me a Oregon who has not had any type of impressive win other than handling unranked teams all season. The one time that they had a chance to take out of a struggling Washington team now, even though they're undefeated, they're struggling. They couldn't do it. And they have the more experienced players. They have the deeper talent gap. They have the bigger talent gap, but they didn't win it. How are they not being penalized just like Alabama is? Because we see what Texas is doing. We see, and their conference strength of schedule wise, win-loss record ratio wise, the Big 12 is better than the Pac. So how is all this criteria not being? I just choke somebody.
Well, yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy. This is why I talked about the playoff committee, man. When they first introduced it, and I saw Condoleezza Rice was a part of the playoff committee, I knew I was not going to take it seriously.
Now,
some
one thing
point,
about Condoleezza, she do watch her football. I will give her that credit.
I mean, she watches
But
some
she
of her
shouldn't be
football.
voting, bro. She shouldn't be
I mean,
voting.
it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. This is what I kind of think about the playoff committee. I think people buy their way into that committee because you can't tell me that a lot of these people that are athletic directors, you can't tell me that no football experts, no analysts, professional analysts who cover the game day and night, who make it their job, reporters, none of the media. Like, we need more variables for college football playoffs. We need more variables. We need more. First of all, we need to return the computer rankings, not to be the main one, but add that to be a variable. Have a coaches poll, have a media poll, or have a analyst poll. There's a lot that you can factor into it because it's more insight, it's more debate. And it's not just one side of the playoff committee. We have other variables. We have other things to determine who is going to be in the playoff committee. Because I'm telling you what's going to happen next year. People think that, everything's going to be cured with the playoff.
No.
Watch what's about to happen. Watch what's about to happen during conference championship weekend when you have teams like Iowa, Oklahoma, like guys that have opportunities. You're going to have conference championship games where teams are unranked and they'll upset some of these top teams. And yet they're probably going to get left out, or they're going to be a part of that debate, but they're probably going to get left out and then they're going to be ranting. It doesn't matter if it's a 32 team playoff. None of this fixes the solution as far as who are the best teams, who are the best teams that fit your criteria. And it's just been nothing but inconsistency. It's all about who's the most. One year it's about who are truly the four best, like 2017 when we jumped over Ohio State. Another year will be who's the most deserving, where Ohio State gets in whether Ohio State gets it in 2016 when no one ever thought that they were a top 4 team, or Florida State. Again, they won undefeated, but it's going to be to a point, guys, where it's kind of like, we know Florida State, and we'll talk about this in a second, they might beat Louisville. They may do their thing. They get into the college football playoff. Everyone knows they're going to get boat race. Just like how everyone knew how Cincinnati was going to get boat race. Just how everyone knew that Ohio State was going to get boat race, and how Notre Dame was going to get boat race by Clemson. People know this. And so it's a very interesting thing to kind of say. But I guess moving forward, talking about some of championship weekend, speaking of Florida State, Louisville, this is Alabama's path. This is the clear path to me. Is if we beat Georgia and if Florida State loses, we're in. That's not even a debate, no even an argument. We can say we don't even have to watch the college football playoff selection show or bowl selection show. We can just move on and talk about who
you got to move us to 4 if we beat number 1 Georgia. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, so like kind of what do you guys think about some of these games, Florida State, Louisville, and of course, us moving up if that does happen. Of course, if we take care of business.
I don't think they will, guys. I don't
think they will, but just be realistic and forget. Let's forget committee mindset. Yeah. The logical path for Alabama, and I talked about this on Bleach Report the other day. Beat Georgia, no matter how you beat them. Everybody keep talking about style points. Style points have been thrown out the window because if they weren't thrown out the window, Georgia wouldn't be number 1 this week. They would definitely be number 2, especially how they played against Georgia Tech. Michigan's close win came against a top 3 ranked Ohio State team. So a close game, and that they would have got more credit for it if it was about style points. That's my point. So Georgia being number 1 is definitely our first step to the path, but beating them is step number 2. You definitely want Oregon to lose because we're tired of them getting the credit for not playing anybody. It would be great for Texas to lose, but honestly, Texas winning and handling the Pac-12 strengthens our resume and saying that our only loss is out of conference to a team that's potentially going to be in the playoff now that has won their conference. So that would promote the rematch for possible Texas, Bama, maybe in the national championship because, one loss not going to get ahead of a undefeated Washington or undefeated Michigan. Florida State needs to lose. And that's really, like you said, Coach Dave, Florida State loses. Washington beats Oregon. That's our, and we win against Georgia. That's the logical way in, and that's what I'm going to bank on as far as us getting in. I can't keep on dwelling on this committee because at the end of the day, Sunday evening about 1:00, we're gonna know where their mindsets are and how. Because after the rankings, people are going to have their things to say, but the only teams that are going to have legit arguments about not getting in if they win their conference, if Alabama wins, we'll have a legit argument. We beat the number 1 team in the nation. We only on 1 loss with the strongest strength of schedule. We'll have the most ranked wins on our schedule if we beat Georgia. Not just played the most ranked, but most ranked wins. So that's my path. If logically thinking, that's how I see it has to be for us to get in. No
For
questions
me,
asked.
guys, it's like they've pretty much told us. I tell you the one conference that has already got a representative in. They've made it known that the Pac-12 is already in. If Washington beats Oregon, obviously Washington. I honestly believe if Oregon beat Washington, they're going to put them in.
Yeah, they're in.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That
That's
conference
why for me, I'd rather see Washington win, man. Get Oregon out of there. That's
Yeah,
2
that's what I
losses.
said.
They're done, right? But I'm gonna tell you something else on a deeper note. These, as long as you have, I don't care how much credibility or integrity they try to say they have. To all the people that don't really know, an athletic director, an AD, they are the epitome of the athletic department. Their whole entire job rests on raising money, getting money for their said schools athletic. That's what their job is. They direct the athletics. They're over some of them do compliance. They garner money. They have to make sure that the budgets in the athletic department make money, right? So you're telling me you got all these athletic directors in a room and they're gonna pick another school over their own or their own conference, because in some conferences like ours, we share the money, right? If we get 700 million, we split it 14 different ways. So if we win, so does Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt wins, right? You're telling me that all these athletic directors from all these different conferences are going to be have enough integrity to say, you know what, Alabama's better than Washington. The Pac-12 ADs are going to say that? No, the Pac-12 hadn't made the playoff and I don't know when. They are going to jump all over this Washington, Oregon. We're going to join the Big Ten. So it doesn't shock me that the Pac-12, which is going to be defunct next year, and the Big Ten are like this. They're like this because most of their top teams are joining the Big Ten anyway. So it's always politics involved, guys. It's never just like Coach Smook and Coach Jay said. It's never just guys watching film, picking the best teams. And that's what scares me about college football now.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think Florida State Louisville, that's a very interesting game because Louisville has a great chance of beating them. Florida State's with Bucknell. They're gonna play that game not to lose, but they're gonna try to be extremely conservative. He's not gonna they're not gonna try to make him turn on the football. I don't think he's gonna have as many passing attempts. They're gonna rely solely on their rushing attack and their defense, right? They're gonna rely solely on field position. Louisville's a good matchup for them because they have experience of beating great offensive lines. They beat the crap out of Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has a really good offensive line. They stopped that rushing attack. So that's a very interesting matchup between those two. I think Louisville is going to beat Florida State. That's my prediction. That's what I think. I think very similar. I think Louisville is hiding their game plan. I think that they prepared for Florida State. I think they were overlooking Kentucky, in my personal opinion. But if Louisville beats Florida State, I think, again, that's our ticket. I don't want to. I know some people are talking about Ohio State is it's still going to be in a conversation to potentially be at 5 or 6 if teams lose. No, we take care of business. It's the best win in college football. We're 12-1. We're SEC champions. We did everything we needed to do. We got strength of resume. We got a strength of resume or strength of record. We got the big time wins. We're 12-1 conference champions. We filled every single criteria besides beating Texas in a head-to-head matchup, which I personally think that Texas winning and us winning, we benefit off of each other because, again, that strengthens our resume, like Coach Smook said. But also, too, we're both conference champions and we took care of our business.
Right.
So both Texas and Alabama should get in. And then Oregon or Washington, the Pac-12 champion is going to get in. Michigan's going to get in. Florida State's going to be left out. In my opinion, that's the perfect case scenario for the playoff committee.
Question.
You know what?
Question. What if Michigan goes in and folds? What if Iowa comes in and take care of business against Texas? Oh, whoever Texas is playing. I can't even remember. They're playing Oklahoma State. What if Oklahoma State comes in and upsets Texas? We beat Georgia. Oregon beats Washington. You got a 1-loss Washington. And Florida State loses.
Georgia stays in.
Georgia's going to get in. Yeah.
Does Bama get back in after beating them? What you get? What I'm saying? Like that's what I'm ready to see. That's the type of chaos because of how crazy this has been leading. Like, and y'all remember, like I said, the first couple weeks of rankings, I said usually around the 5th and 6th rankings is when you should see the tide turn as far as where their mindsets are, and that's what I've been reacting to. What these last 2 or 3 rankings have been up, but this one and the previous one have the ones I've really been paying attention to, because now the games that didn't matter didn't change the rankings, and then the games that did matter didn't affect the rankings like they should have. So now I'm awake and I'm woke, and I'm looking at it like, okay, now we see your motive. Now we see everything. So what happens when your plan that you're predestined or you're assuming is going to happen gets derailed? What type of explanations are you going to bring to the table? And what type of criticism does it bring on the playoff selection committee and how these members are being selected going forward? Because like you said, like we've all said, it don't matter if you take the same criteria and you add 12 teams, it's still going to be the same problem. Because you're going to have a team like Kentucky, who is probably the 4th or 5th best team in the SEC, and them being the 4th or 5th best team in the SEC will make them the 2nd or the 1st or best team in a lot of these conferences that you get a lot of credit to, and have teams ranked ahead of them. So I just don't see how it's ever going to fix it, but it is what it is. We win and handle business. We let everything play out in front of us, and based off my analysis of whatever I see and how these teams have been playing. Conference championship week, it ain't like rivalry week. You're gonna get teams what they are and who they are. You won't get no wrinkles, a whole bunch of different things of that nature. You're gonna see what they are. And Louisville is better than Florida State right now without Jordan Travis. I'm not sure about Oregon and Washington, because I don't think Oregon has seen anybody the caliber of Washington since they played Washington. So you can't really put too much investment into Oregon. But Texas, I'd be surprised if they drop that one. I'd be surprised, but if they do, what happens? How does that help us? So
For me, guys, I'll end with this, man. I'm almost to the point where if it's really about the 4 best teams, if that's what it's about, no matter if we win or lose, no matter if Georgia win or lose, no matter if Georgia, Bama, and Texas are 3 of the best teams in the country. Those 3 teams. To me, it don't even matter if it was really about the best team. At this point, give me Georgia, give me Bama, and give me Texas. Give me them 3 and whoever else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, guys, as we're about to wrap up the show, guys, let's kind of give some of our, I guess, final thoughts and just kind of where they can, are some of our plugins, where they can find us as far as our social media content, or where they can try to, really kind of, again, contact us where we can get. So, Coach Smook, we'll start off with you, man.
All right, man. Y'all already know y'all can find your boy Coach Smook at Coach Smook on every platform. We're getting real active in the Discord this weekend. Started Friday night. I made an announcement on the other show. We're going to open it up Friday night. Here's the link here. I'm putting it in the chat. Jump in that Discord if you want to jump in and start talking college football. We're not active during the day, so don't get in there trying to ask questions about takes and stuff during the day. We got 9 to 5. We regular people just like y'all. We just have time at night to share our thoughts and things of that nature. But definitely pull up in on that link if you want to jump in the live game day chat. If you need help navigate it, we have multiple people in there that can point you in the right direction. But this Friday, I'll be doing a live game simulation preview. Alabama versus Georgia, using the NCAA revamped video game. It was hype last week playing against Auburn. We had Daquan Menzie and Chris Owens on. It was a good vibe, man. I'm talking about 2 former national champions sharing their experience playing in the Iron Bowl. And we did make a similar play like this during the live game preview. It just didn't mean as much because we blew them out. But yeah, so definitely pull up on all the social medias, on everything, Twitter, Instagram, everything, to keep up with the content. And once again, always here post-game show. You can catch your boy Coach Smook here with my bros. Best panel, post-game panel you can probably gonna find when it comes to Alabama post-game reaction. I'm telling you, we making some buzz, and it ain't just because I'm on this show. Like, people really love what we do, man. I'm not saying it's just because I'm on this show, but people love what we do, man. I don't know what it is. I feel like I just get on here and talk football like I always do, kind of simmer it down because we on the network, but let's keep it going, man. I appreciate all the support for myself and the guys that's on this panel, and not only for us, but the guy that's behind the scenes making it all happen. That's Kyle Henderson and this network, man. So yeah, definitely.
All facts, man. I agree with that 1,000%, man. I'm at JMHO Sports Talk on Twitter, just my humble opinion, and right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Much love and big shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I appreciate you, Trouble, man. I see you, brother. Likewise, love, and much love to my 2 bros on the panel. I didn't really know much about. I didn't really do social media like that for real. For real, these guys are turning me on to it, man. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I'm still learning a lot of things about it, but I follow these guys' lead, man. I just give my little spiel and follow these guys. These guys have successful platforms. Tap in with Jan Sports and Coach Smook. You can't go wrong with either of those. They're great channels. Have really made me addicted to things. And I appreciate everybody in the chat and appreciate the Kyle Henderson as well.
Yeah, this scene right here. I just every time I keep looking back like it's behind me for real. It's a green screen, but
it look good too, man.
I mean, you got to get the Auburn fan crying. Like you got to get the Auburn fan crying. You gotta find that. You got to add that as your green screen filter, man. I'm telling you, man, that thing's gonna look hot. But guys, find me at Jan Sports or Jan716 on Twitter. YouTube is of course Jan Sports. Of course, it's gonna be a really good time. I'm gonna make a couple videos, kind of do some Alabama, Georgia type content, some previews, stuff like that. Shout out to Kyle Henderson for making this all happen. It's speaking of you guys, shout out to you guys as well, man. We had I think we hit like 210 at max. We've been consistent with 180, like 170, 180. We've been consistent with that the entire show. I think that's our highest since doing the Wednesday show. So we appreciate you guys so much for everything that you've been able to do. And shout out to all the people that definitely did all the super chats. Man, definitely helping us out and helping out the platform. Catch us on the post game. That's exactly what we're going to be doing next. Post game show is going to be absolutely lit. It's Georgia fans, Bama fans, every college football fan should definitely be some of our highest. Last week we probably had all-time high last week during our post game. So yeah, catch us on the post game Saturday after the SC championship game. Then of course Monday we'll be doing the coaches show all over again. Then Wednesday with the college football talk. So you know what's funny? Sunday we're gonna have to see about college football selective Sunday. We're gonna have to.
That's what I was just about to say. Kyle did say we might jump on Sunday, y'all. So be on the lookout. I know every network is probably going to be on it, but you want to see the real. Y'all know where to come. Sunday evening. I'm thinking about honestly, and I don't do this often. I honestly don't do this because y'all know I'm a full-time musician at my church. I might not be at church Sunday because they moved the time to noon, and I ain't trying to be at church trying to. You know what I'm saying? Give God his, and like I might have to do it from the house this weekend because this is important to me. Like for real, I think God
play the drums at home.
And see, that's the bad thing. That's the bad thing. I play the keys, man. So like I can't pull off the keys and swipe every time or try to reload comments. I've tried it before, man. I've tried it. So I'm definitely y'all pray my strength in the Lord, like they say at church. Pray my strength in the Lord and ask God to give me some guidance because I really want to be here for that. Post-selection, especially when I'm not going to say if I'm coming in with this thing full confidence when we beat Georgia, and I'm not saying tear them out the frame and anything like that. I think it's going to be a hard-fought win. And if it does get out of character, it's because literally that things happen that were out of character. But I expect a heavyweight bout this Saturday, and to follow it up with that selection show is going to be something interesting, and it's something even after the win, my heart's not gonna stop beating until after that selection show. I'm telling y'all, it's gonna be that type of weekend for us. So expect the energy on each platform, and that's where I'm at with it. These my dogs, man. These boys right here, man. These are my boys, man. I'm telling y'all, I enjoy this one. I enjoy this one,
man.
But that's gonna do it for us, guys. Coach Jay, Coach Shawn, Coach Smook, and we will catch you guys on the post game show. Again, Kyle Henderson, shout out to you guys, and we're out.
We out, baby.
And now we got to wait for the spin wheel of doom.